I had the pleasure of meeting our next guest at a California VFW convention reception last month. He gave a captivating presentation, and I knew I had to invite him here to our convention to share his work with you. Jake Rademacher is a filmmaker with strong ties to the military. Most of you know his work. His first documentary, entitled Brothers at War, was a result of his embedding with 4 different units in Iraq, to include that of his brothers. He was able to bring the real-life bonds formed through service and experience from the front lines to the big screen. Today, his work continues. What happens after war? What really happens after war? Rademacher has reconnected with those he embedded with 15 years ago to show America just that with his latest documentary, Brothers at War. I'm so glad he could join us today. Please give a warm VFW welcome to Mr. Jake Rademacher.
How are you guys doing today? That's awesome. Everybody had a little coffee, I can see. This is good. I'm a military family member, and I'm a filmmaker. My brothers came home from Fallujah angry, distant, different. They told me the truth wasn't coming home from Iraq. Now, I was a family member whose grandson fought in World War II and flew over Europe and then spent the last 6 months fighting with the Italian partisans overseas. As someone who wanted to serve himself, but bad eyesight kept me out of the service. And as a brother whose blood was fighting overseas, this pissed me off. So I decided to do something about it. I took all the money I ever made, started a production company, got together a small camera crew, and went to Iraq and joined my brother on his 3rd deployment to Mosul. What I saw there was amazing. I saw a Marine would get a bag of M&Ms from home and share it with his entire squad. I saw men run towards gunfire, sneak into hide sites in the middle of the night. I witnessed fear you could taste. Saw incredible bravery, witnessed utter sadness, what war can do to a leg, to a jaw. Saw a coffin with a flag draped over it, and the respect his comrades paid. All of this became Brothers at War. A Marine hooked me up with Gary Sinise. He saw the film and he started telling me what to do all the time, so we decided to make it official, and he became executive producer of the film. We wanted that film to be seen by veterans and their families first, so we took it to places like Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Columbus, Georgia. And these became celebrations of your service and my family's service. After the film, service members and their families would come up to us and say, we just had our first conversation about his or her experience overseas. I thought, man, this is important. Can we take this a step further? I created a journal to go alongside the film. I brought it to Gary Sinise. He said, okay, let's see how it works. He put me on a 5-base military tour. Next thing I know, I'm working with 700 vets coming home from Iraq. And they're journaling, and we're having a conversation. We've now done that workshop over the last 13 years for 40,000 service members and their families. I was at Camp Pendleton last week working with veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. We will be at an Air Force base in Kansas next weekend. After years of working with veterans, I came to Gary and I said, look, I'm becoming curious about my friends from the war, how they're really doing. I want to make a film where we follow up with them and see what it's like to be a veteran. I want to flash from the war zone to 15 years later to see the veteran they become. And Gary said, okay, let's do it. So in 2019, I began a 4-year journey to 4 continents to follow up with 12 warfighters that I had met overseas. My own 2 brothers, who at this point had deployed 17 times, and 10 friends I met in a war zone. Would you guys like to see that movie trailer? All right. Here is the movie trailer for Brothers After War.
Have you ever been in a river and you open your eyes? You don't see anything, it's not clear. If you go down too deep, it gets darker. You need someone to stick their arm in the water. You need someone to grab you, pull you up.
One of the hardest parts of being a warrior is coming home.
I was angry at everybody. They didn't understand what I understood.
Yeah, I was this close to taking my own life.
I invested so much of myself into the military that it was hard to let go.
I'm doing this documentary right now because I want to see how the guys that I embedded with years ago are doing. How they're really doing.
We are here. We are family. And we don't have to fight this fight alone.
You spend so much time out here with them. You almost become brothers, so.
If I fall down, I expect you to fight.
My main purpose is to get my guys home safe.
Being in the military, it's kind of an honor. Yeah, my country has problems, but it's still my country, and I did a good job here.
People need more of a reminder of what Memorial Day weekend is for.
The amount of sacrifice I have asked my wife to make is kind of gut-wrenching, man.
The buddy who just took his own life. How do you tell his wife and his daughter, I'm so sorry?
We all tried to help him, man.
I've dealt with my ghost and I've
It just inspires us to make good on the time we are given. If it helps save another soldier's life, to share my experience. Hey, dude, you need to stop putting this facade like John Wayne. You're not, bro. Nobody is.
I'm moving on.
It's a breath of fresh air to know that people still care. My favorite moment would be now.
I'm gonna make the most of that next chapter.
I have friends out here that might need me one day. And I want them to know that I'll be right here.
Coming home has always been the hardest part of being a warrior. But if we walk beside them, they can make it all the way home.
I'm moving on.
I was gonna ask if you liked the trailer. I guess that's my response, huh? You know what? This is your story. This is the story of 12 veterans of foreign wars. The Gary Sinise Foundation said, we'll fund your film on one condition. We want you to create a new seminar, this one for veterans. I said, deal. So, February 1st, earlier this year, we took it up to Fairbanks, Alaska. It's 40 degrees below zero outside. At 8 in the morning, it's still dark, and 60 veterans came to see the film and take part in this new seminar. After the film, during the seminar, 7 veterans shared about being suicidal at some point in their life, to include one right then and there. Regal Cinemas saw the response from the veterans and how they stayed in the theater for 2 hours after the film and the seminar were over. They were like, you guys gotta go. And they said, come to headquarters. I screened the film for them right before Memorial Day. They saw the film, they support our veterans, they support the Gary Sinise Foundation, and they said, we're in. We love this film. Now, here's the problem. I don't have the marketing budget of a James Bond film or a Marvel film. This is a documentary funded by a charity. But wherever there are groups of veterans who want this film to come to their community, Regal Cinemas and myself and Gary Sinise, we will get you the film. We intend to release this movie in movie theaters across America in early 2025. Now, this cause is very personal to me. In the course of making the film, my brother Joe, for the first time to anyone, revealed to me that he was half a pound of pressure away from taking his own life. So, based on his generous sharing of that and the course of the film, you see that it's kind of organically woven into that. You know, I want to get this film out to as many veterans and as many military and veteran family members as possible. One thing we've learned is that if you start to communicate, if you start to talk about your experiences, if you're able to tell your story, that's how real healing starts. And we found that movies make tough subjects easier to talk about. We lost 6,700 killed in action in the last 20 years. We lost 120,000 to suicide. My hope is that you will join me in this movement to get the film out and to help our veterans have a conversation and feel camaraderie and feel community. One veteran who saw this film, who deployed 3 times, said to me, "It made me feel like I wasn't alone, that I wasn't broken, that it's okay to be vulnerable. It gave me hope for my future." So I'd like to get that experience to as many veterans as possible, and the folks in California have already reached out to us to say, yes, we're going to help you bring it to our communities. The website is up there. I've got a ton of postcards. I'll be here for the rest of the day into tomorrow, so come up if you'd like to work with us to bring the film to your community. I just want to end by saying thank you. You don't hear it enough from people in my industry. But on behalf of Gary Sinise and everyone at the foundation, on behalf of everyone at the Brothers After War Project and my family, I want to thank you for your service and for your sacrifice, and even more than that, I want to thank you for your devotion and love for our country and our fellow citizens. I want to thank you for the gift of freedom you have given my children and generations of children to come. Thank you, and God bless.